Concerns tonight for residents of one Franklinton apartment complex. Just last night, we were out at Central Gardens trying to get answers for tenants upset about the upkeep of that property. This was the same complex where 33 people lost their homes following a major fire. The opioid epidemic is hitting small town America hard. Here in Washington Courthouse, it's having a devastating effect. We sat with a number of those recovering from addiction and their families as they try to help a community find a solution. As you know, the snowy conditions can lead to a lot of car troubles. Already tonight, we've seen a number of accidents across the area, and that is keeping tow truck drivers pretty busy tonight. Rob Wells is live for us tonight in Mobile Track. And Rob, tell us what sort of conditions you've been seeing out there tonight. However, what parents may want to keep in mind is what's following their kids around on that clothing. Literally. A 7-year-old got one to remember today. The youngster is fighting a rare form of cancer. Today, members of one local community coming together to raise funds for his family and to ensure that he would never forget this day. The managers tell me they're going to hand out a checklist to the residents here to basically check off any issues they have in their apartment. They're going to be handling the most serious issues first and then go on down the line. So they say they will be addressing it. And as a matter of fact, when we showed up here today, there was a work crew here cleaning up against the suspect in the Westerville shooting case, Quentin Lamar Smith. Our investigative team has been digging into the police history at the home where the two officers were shot and the suspect's criminal background. We did a bit of study into this issue, and not many local communities have any rules in place regarding these rentals. For example, here in Grandview Heights, administrators telling us they have nothing on the books. However, the city of Worthington prohibits rentals like Airbnb. Under city code, it's listed as a tourist home, but they are certainly only one of a few. Local high school students getting a very important lesson today on dating abuse and prevention. A Columbus area youth organization giving kids the tools they need to help those in need. Admitted to stealing an SUV with 3 kids inside near Cincinnati earlier today. The children were missing for nearly 3 hours before. On New at 11, an investigation is now underway after a fire in Franklinton. Firefighters say they were called to the vacant home just before 7:30 tonight. And we do have team coverage tonight. Rob Wells is live in Mobile Track with a look at conditions and how the winter weather is impacting business for tow truck drivers. But first, let's send it over to Rachel for a look at the forecast. And Rachel, it is definitely getting pretty messy out there already.
Yeah, you did.
And something to keep in mind, if you need a flu shot, the Franklin County Public Health Department is offering several clinics just this week. Head to our website for more information on those dates as well as times.
What about the flooding and the cleanup?
The homeowner tells me basically they won't pay for anything, not even a hotel for this family to stay in for a few days. So you figure 20 years of those payments. You can see why that homeowner is pretty frustrated. So hopefully, again, we're going to continue to check with Allstate. Hopefully we can get some answers for them, but very upset tonight.
Can't even imagine.
On New at 5, the trial is underway in Licking County for a man accused in a cold case murder. Police found Bonita Parker's body along a road in Pataskala back in 1991. Luann Stoya has covered this story for more than 25 years. She joins us live from the newsroom with details of today's testimony from a now retired police officer. Luann. The FBI is sounding the alarm over the expected release of a secret Republican memo accusing the FBI and the Department of Justice of abusing their surveillance powers. The House Intelligence Committee's Republican leadership wrote that memo and voted to release it on Monday. Bob and Stacia, the responsibility of it all falls in the hands of the local school board, but in a lot of these cases, the decisions are made without the input of parents. If school leaders give written permission, qualified teachers and staff can carry a gun inside of a school. Now, we spoke with administrators and parents at one local school district who believe it's the only way to truly ensure that kids are safe.
We believe that the best way you can keep students physically safe is if you have armed staff.
Chris Pfister has spent the past 40 years in education.
Obviously, you have to keep all children psychologically and physically safe. They need to know that they can come in here and that they're safe.
The superintendent of the Waynesfield Goshen School District telling us safety is one of his top priorities. What's the thinking behind that? For the past 2 school years, his district, one of the few,
Get on the ground.
allowing concealed carry. Several staff members armed daily. This school also with several cameras, allowing those with a weapon to spot areas they would possibly need to respond.
Immediately, any team member, and there's quite a few people that have access to a firearm, They'll be able to identify that very quickly.
Ohio law not just defined to CCW permits. Gun-carrying staff allowed to be armed in a school safety zone if given the okay by the school district.
There's no detail.
Most districts that allow it keep it under wraps for security reasons.
I think it's a discussion that we need to have because times have changed.
Waynesville Police Chief Nathan Motter sees it as another line of defense for kids.
Unfortunately, violence is at an all-time high when it comes to mass casualty incidents, and we need to take a really proactive approach at addressing those issues.
We wanted to find out what Ohio's largest school district thinks about arming staff, so we took our questions to Columbus City school leaders. Do you think, A, that's a good idea, and B, is that a feasibility or something that has been discussed here in Columbus?
Thank you for the question, and let me say, no, it is not a good idea for Columbus City Schools. As you see this morning, we have a wonderful relationship with the Columbus Division of Police, who are trained professionals and who have worked with us for years to provide school resource officers in our buildings. And so we already have that type of security with the school resource officers in our buildings. And as you can see, when there is a potential threat, we have the additional resources of the entire department to help us deal with those threats.
CCS schools may be against it, but the number of teachers trained to carry is on the rise statewide.
I don't think there are two sides to this. If we're talking about active shooters, you're going to have guns in schools. It all comes down to who's going to have the guns.
Dean Reek, executive director of Buckeye Firearms Association, says through a safety training and emergency response program, they've instructed more than 1,300 teachers and staff. Here in Ohio, they've worked with educators from 76 of the state's 88 counties.
Are you going to have an active shooter come in and murder people who can't defend themselves? Or are you going to have guns in the hands of people who have been trained and approved by the school boards to stop violence and render medical aid?
Rachel Jordan has no issue with the rules regarding firearms in the Waynesfield-Goshen district.
I have 3 kids here, and I work in elementary.
In fact, she believes more schools should consider it.
It does make me feel safer.
Time to go, bud.
No, I don't want.
However, Josh Friesen, the father of a young son in Columbus, doesn't want to see teachers armed in his son's school.
Ultimately, I don't think it's a good idea to be arming teachers. Teachers are there to teach and to educate. You just look at what happened in Florida, and there was a sheriff's deputy that was armed and didn't enter the school. So how can you expect teachers to be able to use their weapons if they have them? It's just kind of asking a lot of them.
But you have to have intensive training for your people.
Pfister says he wishes staff here didn't have to be armed, but it appears it's a sign of the current times.
So it's unfortunate today that we have to do these kind of things, but I think we have a very, very good plan in place that, again, is confidential. We don't want anybody to know what would happen.
And as you heard at the top of the show, of course, President Trump has been very vocal in his support of arming teachers and staff, saying, of course, that it would be a great deterrent. Well, she certainly does. She wants everyone out there tonight to watch exactly what they have on their home insurance policy, right down to the fine print. At this point, the family isn't sure how long they'll be out of that home. In fact, right now, it's simply not safe to live in.
Yes, this was a finished rec room.
Wow.
We had washer and dryer and exercise equipment, and a lot of our stuff is stored down here.
Linda is still trying to wrap her head around it.
I was standing there
Last weekend. She's had homeowners insurance for the past 20 years she's lived in the home. However, the company adjuster gave her a bit of bad news.
He said, "I'm really sorry, but we won't cover this." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Because we don't cover foundations."
As you can imagine, she was floored.
I said, "What did we do wrong?" And he said, "You didn't do anything wrong. It's just your wall was built in 1962 and it didn't have the steel supports in it." And I said, "But nobody told us we had to upgrade our basement wall."
We reached out to her insurance carrier, Allstate, trying to get a few answers. A spokesperson telling me she'll look into the issue and get back to me. In the meantime, the Better Business Bureau with a bit of advice.
So you just want to make sure that you're clear with your agent, that you understand all the terms in the contract, and that there are no questions.
Judy Dollison with the BBB says policyholders need to clearly know what is and what is not covered under their policies. Knowing that ahead of time can prevent major problems.
So it's important that you get the right insurance to fit your needs.
We pored over Linda's Deluxe Plus homeowners policy to see what we could find. On page 7, section 15, a few of the losses not covered: settling, cracking, shrinking, bulging, or expansion of pavements, patios, foundations, walls, floors, or ceilings.
I always felt that we were in good hands with them, but I guess we're not.
Linda believes the repairs and cleanup will be well over $40,000. She hopes her story can serve as a cautionary warning to others. Still, though, she wishes her insurance company would step up to the plate when she and her family need it most.
I feel like they were here for 2 minutes and wiped their hands of us and walked away.
We will continue to reach out to Allstate to see if anything can be done to help this family. But Stacia, it's turning out to be a very painful and very expensive lesson for this family.
Boy,
let me tell you, Bob and Stacia, number one, parents need to keep those lines of communication open with their kids. Safety experts tell us that parents should have access to those cell phones and should keep track of what their kids are doing with those cell phone apps.
Basically, I play some games. I check social media like every 10 minutes.
When it comes to teens, their cell phone usually attached at the hip. We spoke with Zach Jenkins and his friends at Get Air Trampoline Park. They were no different.
Every time a little notification comes up, I stop what I'm doing, check just a second, put it back in my pocket.
From selfies to music and the ever-growing list of apps, spending hours simply clicking away.
Out of the day, I probably use it for maybe 1 or 2 hours. I check it a few dozen times just to see what's going on.
Kids, as many parents already know, can't seem to live without them.
Mostly it's to keep in contact with my parents, but sometimes for games.
But what your child is doing on that cell phone could not only land them in trouble, but serious danger as well. 14-year-old Zach even telling us about a recent incident with a relative.
A girl sent inappropriate pictures to a bunch of the boys in the school, and they forwarded it on to each other. And they were screenshotting it and saving it. And my cousin got caught in the middle of it. And a lot of people got suspended and punished and everything.
That's the next step.
Dr. Tim Conrad, along with Sergeant Don Stanko, who served as an officer in Franklin County for more than 20 years, now work with Digital Danger. The Columbus-based nonprofit creates prevention programming for schools, educators, law enforcement, and community organizations to fight internet-related crimes.
The kid sits there and thinks, you know, what bad can go wrong here? Right? And put something out there, well, a lot can go wrong.
You have to figure out, is this a good person or a bad person? And a lot of times, bad people seem good.
Their group works to equip students and parents with the tools needed to stay safe, navigating technology, brought in by schools across the state.
They want to make sure that kids have the knowledge base to know what is dangerous, what they should be aware of, how to stay safe.
Key number one for parents is knowing exactly what's out there, and there's a lot, from dating apps to social media, even apps that spread gossip. But one of the most dangerous could be those camouflage apps like this one, SpyCalc. It appears to be a cell phone calculator, but it's much more.
If you click on it, it looks like a calculator, it acts like a calculator, but if you put in a certain set of numbers, which is your passcode, and press the equal sign, you get into where you have your hidden photos and videos.
That's certainly not the only one. More advanced apps like Hide It Pro are really complex. With this one, kids can even hide other apps. A maze of technology that can leave parents in the dark.
One of the things that we ask parents to do is to help their kids show them how to teach them how to use that phone. So what is this here? Show me what this app is for. Show me how to use that app on your phone. And it gets a conversation going.
Both Conrad and Stanko agree communication is the first line of defense for parents.
If they're worried enough to hide the activity, then a part of them knows it's probably not right or not healthy for them.
I try to monitor as best I can.
Kimberly Jenkins, the mother of 2 young boys, works to stay on top of it all.
The 14-year-old has the iPhone, and I have my fingerprint on there, and I check it all the time. And I'm like, look, we pay for the bill, so I get to check whatever's on here. And he's like, okay.
She admits, though, it can be scary trying to keep your kids out of harm's way.
Oh, yeah. I'm so glad I didn't grow up in this age. They have so much to deal with right now.
The kids we spoke with seem to be getting the message. What you put on the web, who you contact, and the apps on that phone could put them at risk.
Just be careful when online. People can use fake accounts to try to get information from you and stuff. So really just be careful who you talk to online.
It could be very dangerous. They could potentially try to find your address and harm you in some sort of way.
Tips and information plenty of youngsters certainly need to follow. Parents heeding the warning as well. Scary stuff listening to all of that. Now, one of the most important things for parents to remember is they need to know how to use every app and tool on their child's cell phone. Now, the experts at Family Education have a full list of cell phone apps that could potentially be dangerous for your kids. To take a look at that list and to get additional information about how to research some of these tools that your kids could possibly be using on their cell phone, head to our website, abc6onyourside.com, and click on this story. Reporting tonight in studio, Rodney Dunigan, ABC 6 News. Bob and Stacia, let me tell you, it's certainly a lot more than homework. We're talking about germs, and when it comes to kids, especially those winter coats, the gloves, the scarves, believe it or not, they could lead to potentially some serious problems.
Hi, buddy. Put on your hat.
As the temps drop.
Oh, look at it. Are you doing it all like a big boy? You gotta get on your boots. Can you get on your boots?
And the snow falls.
Oh, we still need gloves, too.
You can add up the layers.
Here, you guys ready to go?
Jonna Sprocket likes to make sure that these two...
Go get the airplane. You guys go race. Go get the airplane.
Get to the airplane.
...are always prepared.
I'm a human tissue.
However, what parents may want to keep in mind is what's following their kids around on that clothing. Literally.
The thing that's unusual this year is how rapidly it's spread throughout North America and how it really saturated every region.
Dr. Michael Oglesby is the director of the Infectious Diseases Institute at OSU. Well, let's see what we can find with these.
Yeah, look at that. You see all sorts of material in there.
Oglesby helping examine a few things for us.
So you don't need an ultraviolet light to pick that up.
Telling us the flu virus can live on surfaces for up to 24 hours, possibly longer. Oglesby saying that's why it's crucial that winter gear is cleaned several times throughout the season. Also stressing early prevention is key.
If you have young children, they should be vaccinated, and that's first and foremost.
Sprocket is certainly heeding all the warnings, making sure her youngsters' winter wear is as germ-free as it can be with a constant wash routine.
Definitely more than once or twice this season. I'd say once a month or as needed.
Not only wanting to ensure her kids are warm in the elements, but flu-free as well. Something certainly not easy with kiddos this young.
Let's go. Stop eating that.
You gotta love the kids, right? Now, the doctor also tells us that this flu season will stretch from about April to possibly even May, so you still have plenty of time to get that flu shot if you need it. For now, reporting live in West Columbus, Rodney Dunigan, ABC 6 News.